Welcome everybody to the May meeting of the Naracoorte Lucindale Council, where we acknowledge and respect our complex history and welcome everyone to build our future together. We are being live streamed. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded, published in accordance with the Council's live streaming and recording of public meetings policy. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. Thank you very much. Item 2 is declaration of interest of members. I'm sure you all note that. Thank you. Item 3 is our 2026-27 annual business plan and budget. We have a whole hour set aside for that, for people from the public to come and make a submission to Council. And at this juncture, I'd be delighted to invite Mr. Bull to make a submission to Council. Thanks. Oh, suspend. I've got to suspend it. Would you like to move that, Councillor Maguire? Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Ross, actually. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Bull, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I just came in the other day to ask whether there was any planning in the future for upgrading the Rattenbury Road, particularly from Hodges Lane through to the Edenhope Road. It's just a narrow, skinny little narrow strip of bitumen, and apparently it's not even in the 10-year plan, so just wanted to bring it to attention of Council that it's it's quite a rough little narrow strip of bitumen with a lot of trees, particularly the first section where the road narrows from 2 lanes into the single lane between Hodges Lane and the diagonal road. It's about 2 kilometres and it's quite rough through there. So I just wanted to put it on the radar sort of thing of possible upgrade.
Thank you. This is an informal session, so if there's any questions of Mr. Bull, I'd be too happy to take them. So has the road deteriorated in the last 25 years?
Probably. I think from my memory, we used to go out there quite a bit. My uncle used to manage Magepa out just on the border. Used to go out there when I was a kid, so I don't think the road's changed much. I had anything done to it in sort of 30 or 35 years. So yeah.
If I may, what would be your thoughts on what sort of upgrade should be done to that road, like a like for like, or have you got thoughts about what that should look like?
Well, I would think it would be upgraded to 2 lanes and reconstructed probably. But yeah, I drive a school bus out there every morning, so it's there's a reasonable amount of traffic on it, and especially in the last month, this time of year with the foggy mornings and the sun, at that time of the morning quite low, it's quite dangerous.
Mr. Steed, have you got any information on Rattenbury Road as far as vehicle counts? Or
I have to take that on notice and find that information out. And I think
sure.
Mr. Bull's raised some good points regarding the road and single width. We'll take that on notice.
Sure. Thanks.
I think there is budget for resealing the section, the narrow width section this coming financial year being proposed. Correct?
The reseal section is from the highway through to Hodges Lane.
That's what
this is the next section on.
Next section, yep. Just to confirm that for the council members.
Cool.
Could I ask a question? Is Rob correct in Rob Bull? Sorry, in that there's nothing else planned in the 10 years. That's a correct statement.
Yeah, I can't see any plans in the 10 years.
Sorry, just quickly again. Robert, what actually is the deficiency in the road apart? Is the seal breaking down? Is it wavy? Is it breaking away on the edges of the ceiling? I mean, could you be a bit more descriptive for me, please, or for us?
Well, for that first section, that first couple of kilometres between Hodges Lane and Diagonal Road is especially bad. It's breaking up. It's quite lumpy, you know, up and down, and the bitumen is sort of all cracked. The rest of the road, the middle section, what we call the middle section, is actually not too bad, the actual road itself, except that it's only skinny single lane. And then the other end, close to the Edenhope Road, probably a couple of kilometres from the Edenhope Road, that is quite even, you know, a lot of tree roots breaking up the road as well. But the middle section itself is actually not too bad.
Any further questions? Anything else, Robert? Very good. I'd be happy to take the opportunity to go back into meeting procedure. Councillor Maguire, thank you, and Councillor Ross, thank you very much. All those in favour? Carried. Item 4, public forum, petitions and deputations. We haven't received any. Item 5, confirmation of the council minutes of the 28th of April. Someone like to move that they are an accurate record of the proceedings? Councillor Dennis and Councillor Goodman. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. There are no matters that we've left on any tables. My mayor's report, apart from one typo, which will be changed. It's in relation to Mr. Tony Burke. I haven't met with Mr. Burke for some years, but that'll be attended to. I move that with the amendment that those minutes my report be accepted. Second, if I may, Councillor Downward. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Carried. Item 9 is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Oh, I apologise. Elected members' report. Councillor Downward.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'd like to inform Council that after the letter from Mr. Matthews, this is in relation to the NAHACS meeting from last Monday, but from Mr. Matthews and a previous approach by the Southern family read the need for dialysis treatment at our hospital and the support letter our Council issued to the presiding member, Mr. Barry Moore of NAHACS, to approach the LHN with a request that this service be provided with some urgency. I can confirm that this action has been undertaken and a reply has been received from Dr. Andrew Sayes, Chairman of the LHN, thanking us for the approach and advising that consideration is being undertaken to provide for the request and recognition or recognise the need for staff and staff training to provide the service. Unfortunately, the reply is a little unambiguous regarding detail, and it was moved at the last NAHAC meeting that another letter be sent requesting more detail. It was also moved that Dr. Norcock attach a letter of clarification supporting the correspondence to be presented with that letter. It's also requested that possible numbers could be provided as to how many individuals in the local area, including the Upper South East, currently require treatment. I have recently been approached and informed by Mr. Stan Brooksby that's currently receiving treatment, and for him it's a 10-hour day, 3 days a week. He also informed me that there were 4 others that were attending for the same treatment, which requires 5 hours. So that's 4 people, 60 hours a week that's been taken up with those treatments. At the last meeting, the news article regarding the tragic circumstances re Mr. Cody Williams was also discussed. While nothing could or should be said specific to this case, while there is an investigation taking place of the circumstances leading up to that event, what was highlighted was the need for our local health providers to be recontracted by the South Australian Health Department to provide their services to the hospital, ensuring best possible outcome, where doctors treating a patient is a doctor who is familiar with the individual's history, where currently locums are performing a service with no historic information other than the historical records and that is not the same as personal knowledge. Going forward, Naracoorte Listener Council, NAHAC, Naracoorte doctors and service clubs such as Lions communicate and work together with the LHN for best outcomes in a timely manner. Initial goals is that the advocates of our community are to progress the renal chairs and optimise level of care at our hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dalwood. And would you be so kind as to give that report to Yana?
Yes, sure.
We can add that in.
Yep.
In fact, I'll ask the elected members, are you happy to have that report added to the minutes? Thank you very much. Thank you. Resolved. Any other elected members' reports? No. Oh, sorry, that one just popped up. That was quick. Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Anything to add?
Not really. The Country Cabinet was obviously a really good event to go down to. I spoke to a few ministers that were there, and it was great to touch base with Minister Hood. She was in town on the Wednesday and Friday looking at a lot of our education sites with some promising, hopefully, future developments around childcare in the area. So it was just a good touch point to chat to some of the ministers and put Naracoorte on their radar.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Item 9. Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. So a few items in my CEO's report tonight. The first matter relates to our rating review, which was paused while Council considered the 26-27 budget and business plan. So essentially what we're looking at now is potentially waiting until we've got the revised figures from the adopted budget and then going forward and doing more modelling based on updated numbers and then taking it forward through this council, potentially depending on the will of the council, to a point where we can then have some information to pass on to the next council. It would have been great to be more advanced, but we had to pause while the budget process was happening. It would have been too confusing for everybody. The other thing I just wanted to highlight, obviously with Caretaker Convention kicking in on the 8th of September, we've got to be very cautious about the things we do as a council. So with those two things in mind, I've put forward a potential opportunity to take it to a certain point and then basically hand it over to the next council for consideration. So that was the first recommendation. Sorry.
Firstly, your report, Kelly, is we heard that in its entirety, or should we wait a little longer?
We can just receive and know the report.
Okay. Would someone like to move? Thank you, Councillor Dennis and Councillor Goodman. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And the question before the elected members is around what we should do in regard to the rating policy. Councillor Dennis.
The motion is written.
As written?
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Turner.
Happy to second that.
Very good. Any questions? Councillor Goodman.
Just to clarify that by accepting the recommendation, that doesn't bring us into making any decisions within caretaker mode, and it sets up a new council to take over the process. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. There's an item there just to bring you up to date on where we're at with the election planning. Obviously, a big change this year has been around the requirement for people to be on the House of Assembly roll. So the team is just going through the process of contacting people who may be affected by that. But that's just for your information. Then there's an item on the Limestone Coast LGA strategic plan and budget, which is attached to the report. And just whether or not council wants to provide any feedback other than minor amendments. In my mind, it seems to reflect really well what that body is now focused on. So over to you.
Councillor Dennis.
Just a quick question that the Limestone Coast LGA has had its challenges in the last few years. Just whether it's direct to the Mayor or the CEO, do we think we're now in a stronger position as a community and a group to take this forward, this strategic business plan?
Yep. Thank you for your question, Councillor Dennis. 4 years ago, or nearly, when I came into this place, along with 5 other mayors, we attended our very first LCLGA board meeting. And all 5 mayors, new mayors, were fascinated with what was actually happening at the local government association level. Over the period, and you will note, Councillor Dennis, that I did not make reports to this chamber. Over the time, we went through 4 or 5 CEOs during that time, some interim CEOs, and we developed a new way forward for the local government association, and that is one that prior it was full of projects and process. Was running a $1.5 million budget. Last year, on the 1st of July, the new LCLGA of 6 member councils, Wattle Range is not a member council, started out with its new charter. And its new charter is purely based around advocacy. So it's not unwieldy with projects. We still have a little bit of interest in the sports academy. You know, there's a bit of lingering stuff that we're trying to sort of free ourselves from, but that's taking a little bit longer. So the LCLGA now is purely based on an advocacy agenda, which you can see in the plan, and we have, I would say, an outstanding executive officer, Charlotte Edmond. She comes from Tony Passon's office and has a very good handle on advocacy, and she's got a brilliant network in regard to opening doors in the public realm. The LCLGA now, instead of being cumbersome, is based on being able to react very quickly to situations as they arise. And I can give you an example. Only last week we had an example where the government, on whatever day that was, maybe it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, Councillor Crossley? Thursday, came out with a policy on fracking. The LCLGA earlier on that Thursday had presented to the Cabinet their wish list, which included an extension of the moratorium on fracking to be trumped by the government earlier that morning. We had no one had any knowledge of that. But within hours, the LCLGA had put out a statement around that, and it was back on the front foot. So that's exactly what we want in a modern organisation representing councils being able to perform. I think that's what we've got. There may be, when we reduced the budget from 1.4 back to about 250 or something like that, we may have cooked the goose there a bit, but it won't be much. And so I think that the LCLGA is in a very good place, even though we are minus Wattle Range.
Thank you.
Delighted.
Thank you.
Councillor Goodman.
Oh, sorry.
Are you going to speak further to that? Otherwise, I'll move the motion.
Sorry, go.
I'd like to move the motion as
The CEO be authorised to provide feedback to the Limestone Coast Local Government Association. Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Councillor Dennis. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much.
And the last item of business in my report is a request for annual leave. Be kind to me and to Paul McCrosty, who I'm recommending is appointed to act in the role for that 3-week period. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to move. I'd like to move this particular motion. Seconded, Councillor Dennis. You'd like to speak to it, Councillor Dennis?
Is that all right?
You can, Mike.
It's always wonderful in an organisation when the CEO can step away from the business and take leave, and it sets a fine example for the rest of the executive team to be able to take their leave in comfort and have a healthy balance between work and life. So I fully support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. If there's no other discussion, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Key projects, item 10. Is this Mr. Steed, is it? Or is it Ms. Kelly?
It's all of us, really.
It's all of the above.
So it depends on what the questions are, but we'll answer as best we can.
Are there any questions? I actually did ask Mr. Steed a question before the meeting around the contractor, a new contractor we hadn't used in the past on Diagonal Road, and I asked him how that had gone. Mr. Steed?
Thank you, Ross. Yes, Jack O'Connell was a company we hadn't used before. Certainly did prior checks before we used them as part of our tender evaluation. Came back with good references. Based on their performance so far and the price they submitted, I wouldn't have any concerns with using them again if their price was correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Maguire?
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to Mr. Steed. I know there is another section on the food vans, but just noted, especially in the warmer months, the new lawn area is getting a lot of use, people bringing chairs, etc., and it looks fantastic. Is there any chance we could look into some lighting just to light that area up a little bit? Or not? I'll leave that to you.
I actually like that notion, Councillor Maguire, because I had this very discussion with the CEO only a couple of days ago, in fact, around how this precinct is developed and what we should be doing. And I know there's nothing on the, sort of on the horizon, but I think we can develop something around that, a real plan about how we use that space, including, the way that we engage with the food vendors and about how that's set up.
We can bring a report back to council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? Key projects, there being none. Finance.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Nothing further to add to this report, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. That was very well lip synced, and we're in a very healthy position, Mrs. Edmonds.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Being none. Councillor Turner.
I noticed today, I had a good read of that, but I noticed that our budgeted interest was around about 270 and current interest is 328,000, so we're about 59,000 ahead. Have we reflected the higher interest rate? I didn't go into the detail into the next year's budget from an income perspective.
Yes, so based on our long-term financial plan, we're looking at about an average of 4.5% for next year. We have carried it through the 10 years, but perhaps in our next long-term financial plan AMP discussions, we might review some of those later years as well. So, yes.
Just good extra income.
Yeah.
And you would have all noted there will be some carryovers into next financial year. So, yeah. Cool. 11.2, budget review, 30th of April. Mrs. Edmonds.
Thank you. As we find ourselves again at the final budget review for this financial year, so as per the report, managers pore over their departmental budgets looking for ups and downs in terms of budgets to look at a most accurate forecast for the year end. So you'll see from the financial statements and some summative information that we're looking at a slight reduction in the operating deficit. We got slightly extra grant funding via PIRSA and the solar grants and the other adjustments to reflect
Just one thing worth mentioning in the report is I've provided detail on potential carryovers to next financial year. So although the cash balance looks like a significant increase of 2.65 million at year end, that will basically go towards those commitments of the carryovers by July. Happy to take any questions. I do believe probably the only carry forward that might not be a carry forward is the trucks that we've got on order. So happy to take any questions, or I'm sure Mr. Smith's happy to take questions too.
Are there any questions of Mrs. Edmonds? Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. Would someone like to move the budget review for the year ending 30th of June 26 as at the 30th of April 26 is adopted? Councillor Grundy, Councillor Crosling. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 12, minutes and recommendation from council committees. Aren't any. Item 13, reports for decision. 13.1, resolution register. Makes for interesting reading, the resolution register. Thank you, Mrs. Collins.
I'd like to move the motion as written.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Crosling, second. That the resolution table is a true and correct record. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 13.2, ASCOSA Advice Scheme feedback. Just the person for this.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much else to add to the report. This is really ASCOSA seeking feedback on the first round, the 4 years of advice and what this council's perceptions are. I've added some commentary that council might wish to discuss or ask me questions about.
Any questions of the CEO around the ASCOSA? Councillor Turner.
Only a comment. I read all of that today. I thought it was really, again, well written. I like the use of language like in plain English and describing things in a simple format. So I think our feedback, which I'm assuming is both yourself and your team, is very good to what some other councils might do. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. It highlights where we stand, really. Would someone like to move that the CEO be authorised to submit feedback to the Local Government Advice Scheme? Councillor Turner. A seconder, please. Councillor Grundy. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 13.3, fracking in the southeast.
Thank you, Mayor. Probably not to my place to add too much to the commentary that I'm sure a number of you will want to make in relation to this issue. I will just add to my report by saying in 40 years of communication and community engagement, I have never seen such an overwhelming and swift response from a community to an issue. And I believe it's because this has been they've been living with this for the best part of 20 years. So they know the science, they know the economics, they know all of those sorts of things. So they were kind of pretty well ready to respond. And I found it quite overwhelming. Over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. So we have a recommendation that the Mayor, on behalf of the Council, write to the Premier expressing, as it's set out there, expressing alarm over both the timing and the substance of his announcement, reaffirming Council's steadfast opposition. And might I say that steadfast opposition's been, a previous council, Councillor Maguire would have been part of it, passed a motion many years ago, and nothing has changed. So reaffirming that, and we'll be seeking his assurance also that no hydraulic fracking has actually taken place in the southeast, and we'll be asking them to extend the moratorium on unconventional gas exploration, as it's written there. Councillor Grundy.
Well, thank you, Mayor Ross. Just regarding the the recommendation as it's written, I'm seeking clarification that, firstly, that the ministers, all the members of Parliament, are written to personally rather than receiving a letter which was intended for Peter Malinauskas. I think it's important that these members of Parliament understand that their vote will count. If it doesn't count this time, if it's overturned this time, we've got the same fight, it seems, coming along in 2028, and they need to understand that their vote is very important. Secondly, notwithstanding your previous comments and Kelly's previous comments, I'd like to commend the Mayor's actions in that he's come out swiftly, quickly, and delivered a succinct and clear message, and that is that it's not acceptable to, I'm going to say, 99% of the members of the South East community, and to get in front of the national television, national radio, and statewide newspapers and deliver that message in a coherent manner has been, I think, very useful in that it delivers a clear message to the South Australian community who don't necessarily understand what's going on here in the southeast, the unique limestone aquifer that we have to deal with here and what happens if that becomes compromised, as well as helping to inform those members of Parliament who may not fully appreciate what we have here either. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy, and we're more than happy to address the letters to the individual members of the Parliament.
Yes, so I think we just might need to reword that second, because the intention was just to copy them in on the letter, but we could just amend that wording. That a letter.
Maybe you just have one. Would you like an amendment to that, or just change it?
If you
Would we just change it and then move it?
You could almost add in the first line of the part one that, and all elected members of the South Australian Parliament, after the Honourable Peter Malinauskas, and all members of the South Australian, elected members of the South Australian Parliament.
the rest of it does actually talk about his. So I think.
Okay, so the letter is addressed specifically for the Premier to answer the questions.
Yeah.
So that's why it needs to be.
Yes.
Okay.
You could just have that a similar letter be provided to all state members of Parliament. I think that would pretty well go.
Yes.
That's point 3.
Just point 2.
Point 2.
And a similar letter. Yeah. They'll deliver the similar message.
Personally.
I'd like to move the motion as written now, please.
Councillor Ireland.
Maybe to second that.
Move the motion. Councillor Grundy second. Any further discussion? Being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 13.4, hard waste scheme for 26-27. 26-27.
Yes, good. As per the report and our discussions at the SAP meeting workshop, the hard waste scheme is a suggested approach to our hard waste one day a year service that we currently provide. Majority of information within this report is what was presented at our last get-together. Jana kind of came up with a bit of a template for an idea as to how it would be issued through the rates notice. I don't think there's anything extra that we have added into this report other than what was spoken about at the get-together, so happy to leave it open. I know there was wanting to have some discussions.
Excellent. I think at this point I might perhaps suspend meeting procedures for some free debate. Councillor Dennis? Well, yep, carried. Thank you. Councillor Maguire.
Let me stand for this.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm leaning towards option 3. Just keep the status quo. I think financially it's more realistic for the community. I made the comment that I don't think the system was broken, but probably needed to be fixed. There'd be just a few little tweaks. For instance, 1 trailer per person, or per rate pay, per resident, I should say, and potentially yeah, just keeping it the same. I mean, it's $100,000 compared to anywhere up to $2,800. 208. Sorry, my glasses. So yes, I'm happy to keep it as is, and I know there was a lot on social media saying about going to the ticket system, but I've spoken to a lot of people. Once you sit down and explain it to them, and they can see that it's going to cost a lot more, and it's probably not as easy. They do seem to lean back to option 3.
Open discussion. Councillor Crosling.
I would like to speak in favour of option 1. As Councillor Maguire just mentioned, I did put this on social media for the community to give me feedback on, and there was an overwhelming 100 comments in favour of a voucher system. I think option 1 is a sensible and balanced approach for our 2026-27 budget, clearly not knowing what the uptake is going to be on the voucher system. The voucher system obviously gives a lot of people the flexibility to be able to go and dump hard waste when it suits them. As I've said previously, people don't just work Monday to Friday 9 to 5 anymore. When we do have that one hard waste day, the amount of people that say they're either not in town or working, or there are elderly that need to get someone to get a trailer for them and help them. I think the approach of doing one voucher obviously gives a bit more flexibility to our community. I also think from what was provided in the report that option 1 potential costs on that 30 to 50% uptake, with 50% uptake being about 1,400 residents, which is a huge increase. I think it was 582 cars that went through the Naracoorte and Lucindale Hard Waste Day last year. So we're talking about triple the amount, even if it is a 50% uptake. Is going to cost us about $141,000. So it's only about $40,000 extra than what's currently costing us on the 2 hard waste days. As we've said previously, I think the one voucher also gives us, as council, the option to see how the first year goes. If we get a really big uptake, then we may have to revisit it and we go back to hard waste days. I did do a bit of research, and previous years we have actually had 2 hard waste days in Naracoorte. I'm not sure when it went back to 1 and whether it was a cost thing. So maybe if we did do the 1 voucher and we thought it was costing us too much, you could do the 2 days, one either end of the year sort of thing. That might give people a little bit more option. But I think the 1 hard waste voucher with still having a hard waste day at Lucindale is a great option to go with. Thank you.
Councillor Dennis.
I'd like to speak in favour of the status quo, option 3. I think the potential complication for administration, we like to keep, we're focusing on our costs, focusing on our running an efficient business with the staff we currently have, and I think any additional workload created by a voucher, the complicated voucher system is unnecessary. I think the 1-day system works. There are some tweaking, as Councillor Maguire said. I think if you take if you take normal waste to a hard rubbish day, you just get turned away, you go back home. Someone needs to be there to say no, like that sort of complication, people mixing the hard waste day with their producible waste. Also, the potential for cost blowouts, I think, is another issue for me. I think that if there is if or when there is a higher uptake, that it will be, it feels a little bit like a doubling is potentially possible. I think the current system does support one of our local sporting teams as well for the day. So I'm in favour of option 3.
Thank you. Councillor Goodman.
I'd like to speak in favour of option 1. I think change is always uncomfortable and difficult, but if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I think that whilst the current system works for the people who currently use it, it certainly doesn't work for many, and swapping to option 1 provides more equity in how we provide this service. There will be a change in how it's administered, but it's my understanding that our partners in this at Advitech are happy to take that on. And I think that the one voucher scheme minimises our exposure to cost blowouts. I think even though, you know, with option 1, we still need to make sure that, I think it's patriciable waste, if I've said that correctly, is not part of that scheme either, because there's another system that's in place for managing that kind of waste. So, yep, change is uncomfortable, but I think that this is the starting point and we can refine it in future years.
Thank you. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'm going to speak in favour of option 3. Essentially, it's uncomplicated and at the risk of repeating what's already been said. Essentially, this has potential to be, what started out as a goodwill gesture is really just about taking on a life of its own. And, in our meeting previously, there was one reference to it, potentially one of the options blowing out to 250,000, I think, which is really not what this has ever been about. Option 3 is cost effective and it's simple.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Is there Councillor Turner?
Yeah. I'm in favour of option 1. I think Councillor Crosland covered a lot of points. I was impressed at the workshop to note that a simple post on Facebook in a short space of time got 100 respondents to say that the voucher system should be looked at. And we talk about, going to the community for consultative feedback. I thought that was a bit of a turning point for me. I think the only way we're going to have a lot of extra cost here is if we get a lot of extra rubbish. I mean, the dump is open during the week anyway, so the same people or person that's there during the 3 hours or 2 hours that the dump's open is there anyway, so it's not a real labour cost at the dump. It would be a cost if we have to dispose of more rubbish. But I think, as Councillor Crosling pointed out, we've got to get double or triple the amount of rubbish before we can have a high cost. Option 1 gives us a real low risk chance to look at it for 1 year and to see it's a proper way of getting community feedback, proper way of measuring how much rubbish is disposed. And I think, as Councillor Goodman said, it's more equitable for people that can't actually access that one day when everyone's rushing out there, they've got to line up for an hour and a half to get their trailer into the dump. So I'm supportive of option 1.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. And I must declare an interest in some of this. This hard waste issue is absolutely here because I brought it to the table from a resident and ratepayer here and also in Beachport. I think it's change is always change, and it's always awkward for some. I think the important thing here is that maybe we just don't know how much waste is out there, that needs to be dealt with. So it's a demand-supply thing, and so I'm in favour of option 1 in this particular case, that at least it'll give us something to measure, into the future, and we can make decisions on that. If we do nothing, we're actually achieving not much with the status quo. We still stay here. So it gives us the opportunity to measure 2 things, demand and the supply of waste. And the notion that we might have waste lying around unnecessarily, of course they can take it, it's not a free waste day, they can pay for it any time. But there we go, some people are like that. Further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll ask to go back into meeting procedure. Councillor Dennis, Councillor Ross, second. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. I seek a mover for hard waste scheme recommendation. Councillor Crosling.
I'm going to get here first. I would like to move that the hard waste scheme be delivered for 2026-2027 in line with option 1 as attached in a report titled Hard Waste Scheme for 2026-27. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Goodman.
I'd like to second that.
Seconder. Councillor Maguire.
The only reason I'm going to speak against it is the $40,000 difference. We're talking about cost of living, etc. If we can save 40,000, it's 40,000. So I'll stick with option 3 and speak against the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Councillor Ireland.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'd certainly like to speak in favour of this motion, option 1. I think, as Councillor Turner just mentioned before, this is only a trial, basically. I mean, this is only for a 12-month term, and we'll be reviewing this in another 12 months, or the councillors will. If we're locking it in over a 4 or 5 year period, that would be a different scenario.
Thank you, Councillor Arnold. Councillor Ross.
I'm supporting option number one. But in response to Councillor Maguire's concerns there in regards to the 40,000, that's only a worst case scenario provided that it was a significant uptake. So history shows that it won't necessarily go that far. So it's only a provision for at worst. So
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Janus.
My only comment is that if some of us are present in the next council, that we remember that what was said, and if it does blow out, just remember that. I'll be voting against it.
Back to Horn. Councillor Turner.
I'll speak for it. I mean, one of the things I've come to terms with in my time at council, changing opinion on things, is that filter of, what does the community expect council to invest in for them? And I think if this does cost a little bit of extra money, and I don't think it's going to reach worst case scenario, I do think it's community expectations would see this as being a good thing. It's something that, as a ratepayer, you can almost feel like you get something for free, but many other councils do this and have a lot more vouchers. And I'll go back on the statement that Councillor Ireland reaffirmed that it gives us a trial period where we can measure and review with minimal risk and minimal cost.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. There being no further discussion, you can close if you...
Yep. I ultimately think that option one is a measured, financially responsible and community-focused way to transition to our out of our existing hard waste days. And just following on from a comment from Councillor Maguire, these hard waste days we have actually doubled in cost over the past 4 years. So last year was 87,000. It'd gone up 17,000 from the previous year. So to say that we might save $40,000 by continuing, we might also only save 20. We might actually not save anything. So I think the hard waste days are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think doing this for 12 months, seeing how it lands, and we can revisit it come budget time next year, see how the community responds, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. I put the motion that a hard waste scheme be delivered in 2026-27 in line with option 1 as attached to the report titled Hard Waste Scheme 2026-27, and Council notes the information will be provided in the monthly operations report in relation to the use of the vouchers and budget implications. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 13.5, policy review, footpath dining fingerboard signage.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going through a process of trying to update as many policies as possible. There are a few that are well overdue, so these are the latest two. Other officers may be better placed to speak about the policy detail, but that's the process. So you'll probably see a few more of these policies coming through in the next couple of months.
Thank you. Councillor Turner.
Move and speak to it. I read most of this, but I thought the changes were quite user-friendly, and that's what I was looking for ease of understanding what can and can't be done. So I'm moving the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Dennis, second. Is there any further discussion?
I think it's another nice little step along the vibrancy that continues to slowly evolve in Naracoorte. We're seeing some of the shops fill up and there's activity in the street, and I think this is all promoting and giving people direction. I think it's positive and good.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Is there any further discussion? There being none, I put the motion that the Council adopts footpath dining F5 and fingerboard signage F1 policies. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 13.6, fees and charges for 2026-7. Mrs Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. As per this time of year, we are reviewing our fees and charges for the following financial year. The report outlines or addresses the council set fees and charges. We're looking at a CPI increase for majority of fees. As councillors are aware, there have been more significant adjustments to NRLE fees based on discussions and decisions and recommendations from the NRLE board. Happy to take any questions in terms of what is within the draft copy of the fees and charges.
Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. It's quite a document. It's quite a document. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. A couple, and I've just lost my spot on one of them. But regarding dogs which are desexed and microchipped, I wonder if we can revisit our policy sometime in the future and maybe favour those owners with maybe a $1 annual registration fee for being jolly good fellows, good citizens. Whether we could review that at some point going forward. The other thing is, I think I saw in here that the NRM board levy is noted in our fee schedule when it's not actually our fee schedule, and I just wonder if that's good housekeeping, because it's not our money, and it implies that we are collecting it and we are charging the ratepayer when we're not. So.
Happy to take that on board. Kelly might be able to give me a bit better perspective. I've only ever gone on how it was set out historically, but more than happy to give that consideration.
It certainly has been a bone of contention with councils collecting for other authorities. $700,000, whatever it is, yeah. Would someone like to move that the fees and charges guide for 2026-7 is endorsed and effective from the July the 1st? May I just have a little rider there that I did actually speak with Mrs. Edmonds around some fees at the NRLE, and she was going to, Mrs. Edmonds, I apologise. Mrs. Edmonds was going to look into that and wasn't reporting to this, but we certainly were going to take it and
Yes,
look at it at
correct.
various committee meetings and audit and risk.
Yes, so that will be presented at the NRLE board meeting
Yes.
during discussions. So, yes.
Thank you very much. So would someone like to move the fees and charges as presented? Councillor Maguire, Councillor Dennis. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 13.7. Lucky.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. So this one, we're just looking at a renewal of a mobile food vending permit. So Lucky was new to Narra Court 12 months ago. As you may recall, with mobile food vending permits, we usually issue them for 1 year to begin with to see what the level of commitment is, that sort of thing. So Lucky has been on an ad hoc basis, but fairly regular at the same time. He's happily trading out of the new grounds there for mobile food vending vans. So this time we're looking for a 2-year permit for him to trade on Saturdays and Sundays, is it? On the weekends. So happy to take any questions.
I'd like to move the motion as well.
Councillor Dennis, thank you. Councillor Goodman, second. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. (13.8) Draft Public Consultation and Community Engagement Policy. Mrs. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. It would be remiss of me not to engage with you all now on this report, as it's about engagement. So, as reported in the agenda, all South Australian councils must now review their community engagement policies so they align with the state legislation which came in late last year and saw the enactment of the Community Engagement Charter. Unfortunately for us, it means very little change. Council's current engagement methods already align with the new charter. So the policy before you tonight only has minor changes, largely to reference the new charter as required and bring the policy language in line with all South Australian councils, so it's consistent across the board. As a result, I commend the draft policy to you to put out to community consultation for the next 21 days, kicking off Thursday.
Thank you, Mr.
Happy to take any questions.
Would someone like to move that the draft public consultation and community engagement policy be endorsed for public consultation? Councillor Turner, Councillor Downwood second. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 13.9. Community Art Fund. Mrs. Collins.
Thank you again, Mayor Ross. As reported, we had a pleasing 5 applications received for our 2026 Community Art Fund. They're all detailed in the report. The 2 applications recommended for funding are of a really high calibre and will deliver very visual community art projects to Lucindale, which is fabulous. I commend the work of our Arts and Cultural Facilitator, Jane Ellis, on this year's Community Art Fund, and commend the recommendation to you to support those 2 projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. Councillor Dennis.
I'd like to move the motion as written.
Councillor Dennis is happy to move the motion as written. Councillor Crosling. Is there any discussion? Councillor Dennis.
I'd say I commend the quality of the report. It was very informative and fully support the motion as it's suggested.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. And as we seem to be getting more art about, it's brightening up the place, whether it's on a half court at Lucindale or here at Market Square or wherever it is, it's starting to be noticeable. So, yeah, it's great. I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Reports for information. Mr. Steed.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Yeah, that's our monthly operational report, just giving you a brief update on what we've been doing on the maintenance side of things, outside of capital works. We have started some patrol grading, like a lot more moisture around to help with that process, but we are picking and choosing which roads we're working our way through. So the graders are out. We've done a lot of drain maintenance, our open swell drains and culverts, inlets and outlets, making sure they're up to scratch. We've also had our annual aerodrome technical inspection here at Narrowport and an inspection at Lucindale. We haven't had the reports yet, but the lighting inspection was taken at Narrowport Aerodrome. Verbal response was very positive and the overall condition of the site is looking good. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Steed. And Councillor Maguire.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the Chair to Mr. Steed. The Narrowport Town Clock, is there any chance we can get a report back how much has actually been spent on repairs in the last 10 years? I noticed that it's broken again. Sorry, to Mr. McCrosty. Perhaps just let the community know how much it is costing us.
Would you like to take that question now, Mr. McCrosky?
Thanks, Mayor Ross. I can answer that. It's actually written in my report that we've had some issues in regards to the clock mechanism. We did have a budget allocation which was endorsed by Council, I think, when we were at the Francis Council meeting, but I'm happy to provide you with an update of what we've spent and in the last 10 years historically what we've spent on the town clock. But from all reports, the clock is now repaired and fixed and should be hopefully back up in the next week or so. It was meant to be up last Monday.
Thank you, Mr. McCrosky.
After reading the report.
Mr. Steed, I have 2 questions. I suppose one is the question of tree trimming and whether that should be on the next SAP meeting. It's quite a big deal, and those coastal wattles are a bane of your life and mine. I was wondering on Ormerod Street with that doing the path and then discovering the pipe work there, was there any issue with the plane tree roots? You dug it all up, so I thought there was an opportunity to note whether the plane tree roots were actually causing any issues at all or not, and if they're not, well, that's perfect. But seeing it was dug up, there might be an opportunity to just see.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Yes, when we excavated down, I wouldn't say it was the tree roots that had caused damage. The pipe work that was found was, we knew the pipe was there. It was actually the depth of the pipe we weren't aware of. It was a lot shallower than what we were anticipating. The tree roots had impacted the pipe work, but it was very old pipe work that wasn't joined and connected together very well. So like with any tree, it's going to go wherever the moisture can get. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So not so much about the trees, more about the way the pipes were joined. Thank you, Mr. Steed. Any other questions? Councillor Grundy, sorry. I've been using up way too much time.
At any rate, look, I just wanted to comment on the roadside spraying this year. I mean, it's been much more timely this year. You know, late May is much better than early April, so whether the staff have been able to massage that contract to reflect a better outcome, I don't know, but it's far more effective at this time of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Was there any other question at the end of the table? No. There being nothing further, item 14.2, planning and compliance. Mr. McCrosty.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Just a quick update. Obviously, in the key project previously was talked about the swimming lake ramp. That's now being concreted and is ready for the stainless steel handrails to be installed shortly, which will be due to be completed before the end of financial year. And also the internal works of the swimming lake kiosk is near complete, and we'll be seeking for a new leasee in the coming months, ready for the next summer season.
Thank you very much. Next item. 14.3, engagement and community report. Mrs. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Just nothing really much from me, but just a reminder that community consultation will close at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning on both the draft annual business plan and budget and the draft local area housing strategy. We've had a pleasing number of submissions on both so far, which is great, and we'll provide a report to the June meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. Are there any questions? Councillor Crosling.
Comment. I just wanted to obviously congratulate all of those volunteers that received certificates from UMayor. It was National Volunteer Week last week. I'm not sure how many certificates were sent out, Ms. Collins.
After tonight's meeting, we will be sending them out, and we've had 46, which is great. That's including our council volunteers.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. So yeah, just wanted to say a big thank you to all our amazing volunteers across the Naracoorte-Lucindale community. A lot of our sporting clubs and service clubs are obviously 100% volunteer run, so they do an amazing job. They should probably get more than a week to celebrate, but just wanted to say thank you to everyone out there that does their little bit for our council area.
And may I say that when my able assistant said we've got a lot of signing to do, I thought there may have been more, but so I haven't used all the ink up in the biro, don't worry, but you know, there's plenty of opportunity and people should take it upon themselves to actually nominate everyone who actually volunteers their time for their fellow citizens. Very good. Where are we up to? Publications. There aren't any questions with notice. There aren't any motions with notice. Item 17.1, Councillor Maguire. Would you like to introduce your...
Thank you, Mayor. So I've put the first two up. I'll read the first one out. The Council advertises all public information and briefing sessions in advance, including subject, time and dates, to the community and local media, including the use of social media. So I'd like to move that and speak to it, if I may.
You absolutely may.
Thank you. So the first two motions really I'll put up...
We just deal with one at a time.
Yes, but I'm just, in my wording, the first two motions are to create some discussion, and both are aimed at better engagement with the community. I do believe we should be doing more to let our community know when these workshops, or briefing sessions we should say, are taking place. This motion encourages our local media to report on them. I think it's our responsibility to engage the community with all the information prior to the briefing sessions, giving them the choice of attending.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. A second up, please.
I'll second the motion.
Councillor Dennis. Would you like to speak?
I'd like to speak to it as well. Yeah. Although this is a motion, this is a motion derived from a member. It was given in notice, and I am all about transparency. The only barrier guidance from the CEO is this in line with all our policies. Otherwise, I'm very supportive of the motion if it is not outside the grounds of our current policies in relation to communication with the community.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Some clarification, Kelly?
I'm sorry, I don't have the council meeting procedural policy in front of me, but I know in terms of the public information around briefing and information sessions, the only requirement under the Act is to actually let the public know that you've had one. So this council actually does let people know in advance, but we haven't done that in a very public, overt way. So I think what Councillor Maguire is hoping here is that we can publish it on social media so that more people understand that we're holding a briefing information session, and that will only be in confidence if there's a provision under the Act to put it into confidence.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Do you wish to close? Thank you. All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Maguire.
That's probably a little bit more complex. I've moved that all public information briefing sessions are live streamed for the benefit of the community and transparency. So if I can move that and speak to it, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Too much information and discussion is lost in these information and briefing sessions. Our rationale, debate, and in the end our conclusions are often not carried forward to our live stream meetings. By the time our live stream meetings are here, the reason we got from A to B is not really discussed in as much detail. This leaves a large hole in how our decisions are based. The public want to know how and why, and they want us to engage with them on these projects. Briefing sessions on budgets, roads, sporting centres, housing strategy are just to name a few, that if we don't live stream them, that information is lost. I'm not saying we have to live stream all, for instance, training sessions or in confidence ones. How can a community support and understand our decisions if they can't hear our conversations? Maybe if some of you don't support my motion in full, there can be a compromise in the room and broadening our live streaming. So my motion really is about discussion. I look at, previous council not live streaming or being public with our reasoning and our journey on the library. And I think that had an impact within the community. I look at the sporting complex and I look at how if the community were actually be able to listen to us as elected members discussing it openly, that there would be more understanding to how we came about our decision. So I'll move the motion and hopefully start some discussion.
Well, thank you, Councillor Maguire. And of course, briefing sessions are purely briefing sessions. But I'd ask for a seconder.
I'll second the motion as written.
Councillor Dennis, second.
Again, to the same token that I fully support the transparency. I think we do have some robust discussions that we don't come to any conclusions or any voting or anything of that nature, but there are some, I think there's always benefit from the community engaging with us in any form that they can, if it is within our policy and legal.
Through you, Mayor, the current policy does not include live streaming of briefings, but that doesn't stop a council resolving to do so outside the policy, and then later we can amend the policy.
Councillor Turner.
I'm going to speak against the motion, but I do take the intent, and I do take Councillor Maguire's request that maybe we could reach a compromise. I feel like we're getting to the end of this particular term of council, but I also do agree that the community would benefit by being brought along the journey somehow. I wonder, just thinking without giving this too much thought until you said you would consider other ideas, that a decision to live stream briefing sessions could be made on a merit basis based around the briefing session rather than just having a blanket policy on all. That's just my thought.
Thank you, Councillor Turner.
I'm not going to amend it, but I'm just saying that's my
it may be a little ad hoc. Councillor Dennis.
I was just thinking the only issue with that is if there was a hot debate and the mayor, the future mayor, or the current mayor, or if this becomes policy, or anyone in the chamber has a wish to stifle debate or stifle discussion, I don't like that sort of picking and choosing. I prefer it was covered with all. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis.
Not to single it.
Councillor Goodman.
I like the idea of opportunities to bring the community along with us as we work through ideas. However, I also think that it's really important to have time and space where elected members can discuss and debate and do blue sky thinking and ask hard questions without that being something that they're held to because it is live streamed and out there. I think it's important that people are able to change their mind or have some out of the box ideas that might not be where we end up but be somewhere else, but not have that reported in a way that is not advantageous to the debate. On those grounds, I also think it's important to note that briefing sessions are not decision-making meetings, and so like tonight was a really good example of we had a briefing session around the management of hard waste, and when we came to this meeting, which was the decision-making meeting, all of the arguments and thought that was discussed at the briefing session was brought here, and the community has had a chance to see what we think and why, and that came through in the decision-making process. I think that's also why we record and live stream our SAP meetings, because we do have that robust debate and discussion there as part of the decision-making. Those things do then come to council for endorsement, but we don't tend to discuss them more broadly because we've had that. So that's why I think it's important to live stream the SAP and these meetings, but I'm not supportive of the live streaming of briefing sessions because I think we need to make sure that we continue to foster frank and fearless discussion without that being negative.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Any further discussion? Being none.
I'll close if I can. Thanks, Mayor. Change is uncomfortable, Councillor Goodman, as you said once tonight, and I understand actually speaking at a public briefing session while being live streaming would be uncomfortable. And I disagree with you. There was probably 10% of the information discussed tonight on the transfer station or the free dump day than what we have discussed previously on two different occasions. That information is lost. There was very minimal. We didn't touch on the facts that not maybe is everybody in the community going to get their voucher, or how we're going to distribute the vouchers? All that information the community will never hear. So don't be scared of this. I think the community wants it. I think they need to understand us, and I urge you all, make an amendment. I'm flexible with that motion, but I think we need to be doing more to take the community for a ride.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Nothing further. I put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is lost. Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Councillor Maguire, would you like to introduce?
I call it division on that, sorry.
I
call it division.
Oh, you called it division. The vote is set aside. I'll ask all those people who voted in the affirmative or for the motion to stand. Councillor Maguire, Councillor Dennis, Councillor Ross and Councillor Crosling. And remain standing. Those people who voted against are Councillors Turner, Councillor Grundy, Councillor Downwood, Councillor Rayner, Councillor Goodman and Councillor Ireland. The motion is lost.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pilates. Councillor Maguire, would you like to introduce your third motion?
I will, thank you. I've got one up, that's good. My third motion is that if council wishes to change the classification of the road outside of the road hierarchy scope, council will go to public consultation to explain our reasoning prior to a final decision being made. And if I could move the motion and speak to it, please, Mayor.
Of course.
I'd just like to tweak the process, make it transparent for everybody. Mainly it protects us all from accusations. I'm not saying we cannot change and upgrade or downgrade a road outside the road hierarchy. But if we do, as a council, we have to be accountable for that decision, and that's why I put that motion in place.
Councillors are always accountable. Councillor Maguire. Councillor Dennis.
I'll second the motion, Mayor Ross.
Seconded, Councillor Dennis.
Again, just on the grounds of transparency, I don't see any issue if the principles behind the alteration of our road hierarchy or a road outside that road hierarchy is the argument has been made within the chamber. There's no reason why this can't go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Any further discussion? Councillor Goodman.
A question for Councillor Maguire, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, just trying to think through the implications of this motion. I was just wondering if you could provide an example of, either something we've previously discussed or something maybe coming forward of where this might apply.
I'm not going to bring up roads. I think we all know that in the past there's been certain roads that this council has continually brought up. Now, we all socialise in different circles. I'm saying to you, every time a road is brought up that is challenged in the hierarchy, there is a backlash in the community that you might not see. But I know there's other elected members here that do get accusations thrown at them just for those comments. I understand the council has never actually gone outside the road hierarchy and we did in 2020. I think there was a road, a lane. There was a motion.
Yes,
2020, Stewart's Lane. But there is still, whenever as a council we challenge the road hierarchy, there is a backlash in the community. Whether you hear it or not, it's there. And I shouldn't have to put myself in a situation where I have faith in the road hierarchy and where it's going, but it puts me in an awkward situation because we haven't gone to consultation to either justify council's decision that I don't actually think is the correct one, or trying to explain it to people that are making these accusations. So to me, this protects everybody in the room. It protects the staff, it protects the elected members. And it's not also, the consultation is also, it's about, we might all agree that there's a road that we need to upgrade outside the road hierarchy, but we can use this consultation as an information session to actually, again, take the community along for the ride and say, this is why we're going outside of the scope, here is why, and be respectful of the community that we're giving them all that information.
So, Councillor Maguire, if I might ask a question, just more generally, and you know that we go to consultation, and we get 103 responses back, and 78 say, this way, and the remainder, this way, and then we go with the lesser number because the elected members are there to make decisions, and they're. It always makes it difficult. So that can be open and transparent, but the elected members are still elected to make the best decisions for the whole community going forward. So you absolutely are on board with that.
100%, Mayor. But this gives us the opportunity to explain our reasoning. So if we can go to the public and say, this is the reason why we're going outside of the road hierarchy because A, B, C and D, that I'm doing my job as an elected member to actually sharing that information and how we got to that decision.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Councillor, has the question been answered?
If I may speak?
You may.
Yeah, so having heard the discussion and the response to my question, I think I will be voting against this motion. In reflecting on the decisions we've made so far, I can't think of a time when this would have been required, and Councillor Maguire hasn't been able to point to a time when something like this would be needed. I think that the process that we have is robust, and I think that when it comes to consultation, we do consult within what is mandated in the Act, but also there's nothing stopping us from time by time deciding if we wanted to go consultation on particular roads as well. So I'm just not in favour of additional rules and governance for the sake of it when I can't see how and where that might be applied.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Councillor Grundy?
Thank you, Ross. The road hierarchy is very broad. The terms of reference when it comes to altering where a road might be on the hierarchy are very broad. All the debates we have when it comes to the road hierarchy and the roads are done by way of a SAP meeting, which is live streamed. As councillors, we're out there hearing pros and cons from all kinds of constituents all of the time. I just don't think it's necessary.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Councillor Ross?
I was just probably more seeking a little bit more clarification because I'm just trying to think out loud a little bit here with this and after listening to the debate. We don't necessarily want to be, every time we go outside scope, we've always got to, look, there's a policy that we follow. That's probably what I'm talking out loud here. We can always go outside policy within reason as long as we can mitigate those reasons. And so if the debate has been, if the discussion has been debated in the chamber and we're trying to justify it, but then there doesn't seem to be rhyme or reason why we are continuing to go down it, even though it might not necessarily, the information might be enough to reflect, then I would see that this would be something that would be worth going out and doing, because we're trying to justify why we're doing it. But every time we go outside of it, I don't want to have a debate of going, I don't think it's necessary to be going to do public consultation. So but I just think as to be used in an exceptional case, I think that it would be probably good to have that, at least a provision there for it, I think. So.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. The system's not entirely broken.
No.
Councillor Turner?
Yeah, the problem, the challenge I had with this is who's qualified to give the feedback. I mean, you could go to consultation, get a whole bunch of, keyboard warriors that have an opinion, but we just heard tonight from Robert Bull, who drives a school bus on a road that many of us are probably not familiar on because we don't drive on the road on a regular basis. So there's that person's feedback about that road I find quite valuable. But having spent almost 4 years on the council, I'm still learning about the roads and the road hierarchy. And as Councillor Grundy said, we're televising to the journey through SAP meetings and then through final council meetings. So there is a journey there to be followed. I just wonder, by going out to consultation, you're going to have a couple of mates disagree that a certain road that they're not that familiar with, or how roads are constructed, or even the whole hierarchy. It's taken some of us new councillors a while to be on this journey to understand the hierarchy and the reasoning of it. Okay, there might have been a bit of pain on the way through, but I think the decision-making process is robust and sound, and I think there's flawed. I think it would be flawed if we went to community consultation on something that 95% of the community or 98% of the community know very little about, other than an opinion. That's my challenge with it.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Dennis?
With respect to the debate, I think that we do solicit community consultation a lot, and I think a process like this would extract Mr. Bull's opinions that maybe we wouldn't hear if we moved a road in the hierarchy or we positioned ourselves to move it. I think it's a rare process that occurs, and I think that given that it's such a rare, this extra step would be pivotal in that it would give us that final push over the top to just, if you were a targeted road, as with between Hodges Road, on the Rattenbury Road, as we said, not a road we all drive. I do drive it a fair bit, but I can't say that I've ever, that the road doesn't leap at me when Mr. Bull brought it up. But this process would bring Mr. Bull out of the woodwork, I think, and that would push us over the line if there was a debate within the chamber. So I'm certainly on board with the motion and we'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Ireland.
Thanks, Mayor. If I could ask a question, really, just some clarification, because, something like the Rattenbury Road, I thought...
Question
through the chair about the definition of the hierarchy scope. If we're doing a change to the Rattenbury Road, that's going to fall within our hierarchy scope, isn't it, anyway?
Yes.
So this is not really relevant to that situation? I'm just wondering which particular roads, which examples we're likely to encounter with this.
Yep.
That's a response.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With respect to Council Island, that road in particular, is, as he said, but I think that if we did have a road that had very small, often these roads are roads with small stakeholders involved and lots of very heated opinions, and what the reason we have a road hierarchy is that it creates discipline within council about how we handle our roads and how we spend money on our roads. So if we're looking to spend, if we had a motivated small group that wished to spend $150,000 on a road that 3 people drove round, I think that there is the potential to go out to public consultation on that road and generate that last bit of justification one way or the other from either strengthening the reasoning behind the adjustment of that road or either to its detriment, a further debate, and then the decision. They're big decisions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Maguire.
To Councillor Ross, this isn't something we've ever gone out to consultation with before because we've never gone outside that scope. So people aren't going to get tired of it happening all the time. The idea behind this motion is really to keep us accountable as elected members. If you're thinking about going outside of the scope, you need to be transparent to the community. Hasn't happened yet, but I don't know what everyone's afraid of. It's just simply putting that into our policy to say, if you want to go outside of that scope, because as Councillor Dennis said, there has been discussions on roads where some people believe that there should be an upgrade, some people don't, and that does create a ripple effect within our community. This is there to protect us. We haven't had to use it yet, so there is absolutely no reason for any of you to vote against it, in my opinion.
Of course.
In my opinion.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire, for that final commentary. I'd like to put the motion that if council wishes to change a classification of a road outside of the road hierarchy scope, council will go out to public consultation to explain our reasoning prior to a final decision being made. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is lost.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Maguire called for a division. The result is put aside. All those who voted against the motion, please stand. Just to be fair, those who voted for the motion are Councillor Maguire, Dennis, Ross and Crosling, and those who voted against the motion are Councillors Turner, Grundy, Downwood, Rayner, Goodman and Ireland. The motion is lost. Thank you. Item 18, questions without notice. There aren't any. Item 19, motions without notice. There aren't any. Item 20 is item 20.1 is patrol grading, and that is an item that the CEO considers should be had in confidence with Councillor Dennis.
Yeah, can you remove others?
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Dennis. And a seconder, Councillor Goodman. All of those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Josie, can you close the door, please? Could you close the door, please? Thank you. Right, well,